President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated on Monday the activities of the 8th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Asian Bank in Sharm el-Sheikh under the theme Sustainable Growth in a Challenging World during the period from September 25th to the 26th of 2023. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Finance Minister Mohamed, and a galaxy of state officials are attending the two-day meetings, along with participants from 106 countries. This year's annual meeting marks the AIIB's first in-person annual meeting since 2019, and the first one in Africa. The meetings highlights the AIIB's continued commitment to supporting the key infrastructure demands of its members, and alludes to the climate-centered global agenda and the compounding challenges faced by its members. Addressing the opening session of the annual meetings of AIIB, the AIIB President Jean LeCun, who said that Egypt witnessed a big leap in growth infrastructure under President Sisi. He also praised Egypt's achievements in establishing the new administrative capital, which he viewed as the best projects carried out by the state, and the new Suez Canal that allows the crossing of 12% of the international trade. AIIB President also underlined the necessity of attaching special importance to infrastructure projects across the world in order to be able to absorb the natural catastrophes similar to what happened in Morocco and Libya. Minister of Finance Mohamed said the 8th annual meetings of the AIIB affirmed Egypt's leading role and efforts to reinforce its international cooperation among the region's states and across the continents.
Well, welcome back, and getting along with our topic of tonight, let me first welcome our distinguished guest, Dr. Mohamed Rushdy, Professor of Economics, Cairo University. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Good
evening for you and our audience.
Thank you so much. And let me here speak about this year's annual meeting of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the AIIB, being held here in Egypt, and for the very first time in Egypt. And you're reading to this.
In my humble opinion, this meeting is one of the most important meetings that gather, as far as I recall, more than 105 or 106 countries. Those countries include partners, social organizations, multinational companies, a lot of people. They are collaborating together for two main objectives. One of them, sustainable development, and the other goal, which is the infrastructure, to develop the infrastructure for all countries. And this is one of the most important things, the mainly objective for this gathering.
Definitely, and it's very much into the infrastructure and investments. If we speak about that, and if we speak about being held in Egypt, to see and to know more about the African at large requirements and needs of infrastructure projects and investments. What does this reflect?
Actually, it's a crystal clear message that this important meeting happened in Egypt, which is Egypt actually infrastructure has a special position in the world, citing the example of building pyramids and Suez Canal that allow crossing of, as far as I recall, 12% of international trade. This is crystal clear message, the importance of this meeting and the important or the crucial positioning for Egypt globally, how it's important for facilitating trade, and it has a role play, or it has a vital role in the trade community or globally.
When we speak about Egypt and its pivotal role in reflecting and putting in the forefront the African causes and the African needs and requirements in all international forums, how do you view how Egypt sustained in such an issue for now, 9 years, starting since President Sisi assumed office, and started with putting Africa as a forefront priority?
In my humble opinion, as I told you, it's a crystal clear message how important Egypt nowadays and how it returned back to play its vital role globally, especially in African continent, and is leading Africa, which is, as you know, and our audience nowadays, globally, they are calling the European countries, they are calling Africa is a youth continent. As you know, why they are calling it like that? Because the majority, the pyramid of aging for the nation, for the African nation, the majority of them, they are youth. And nowadays, if you can see the global or the holistic picture for the world, for the trade future, Africa is considered one of the most important continent for trading, because they have the manpower, they have the market, and they are calling it nowadays, they are emerging market or potential markets. Because if you have, for example, to simplify to our audience, if you are manufacturing a lot of goods, you have to have the market for it. Nowadays, what's the proper market? And we are calling Africa as a youth continent. Actually, Africa is the proper marketing, because the majority of them are youth and they are consuming the majority of the European goods that serve it. And nowadays, counting on the manpower, that we have a good manpower, we are working on developing products, not as far as I call 3 decades ago. We are just exporting actually raw material. Nowadays, we are working to and finding a lot of solutions to manufacture and using the modern technology, capitalizing on the manpower. And this is a competitive edge for our continent. And returning back to Egypt, actually, President Fattah al-Sisi is doing a great job to returning back Egypt to play its role in Africa and globally, counting on its history and its strategic location. Thank you, strategic location.
Yes, indeed. Plus, of course, Africa is one of the few continents that is very rich in every mean, the richest in resources in the whole world, and definitely there are lots of opportunities for investments. If we speak about the theme of the 8th annual meeting, which is sustainable growth in a challenging world. And indeed, it is.
Yeah, it is nowadays, as you know, and our audience, the challenge is to develop and to grow and help others to go and keep our globe world to be sustainable. One of the most important quotes that we are not for sustainability, which we are not owning the earth. We are not owning the earth or taking the earth from our ancestors. We are borrowing it from our children nowadays. For that reason, to focus on sustainability, this is the most important things, and this is aligned with our strategy to have a sustainable strategy. One of them, which is Vision 2030 for Egypt, and in Africa, same as we have. And we have a positive thing, which is, as far as I recall, we hosted COP27, which is, as far as I recall, last November.
Yes, it was last November.
And this is, we are sending a lot of positive signals to globe that we are returning back to take our position and leading the African continent and playing our vital role in facilitating trade globally. As I told you and our audience, as far as I recall, 12% of the international trade is passing through Suez Canal. And this is one of the most important things. We have to count on it.
Yes, indeed. and we need more to come. Before we continue on with our discussions on the sidelines of the 8th meeting of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which is being held at the Red Sea Resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, our colleague Hani Farag held this interview with Ambassador Curtis Chin, the former U.S. ambassador to the AII Bank. Let's watch.